Hi everybody, welcome to Mondays with Mike. I'm meteorologist Mike Yuskovitz. Today we're talking about smoke in Texas. Where there's smoke, there's fire. Where there's fire, there's smoke, right? Smoke on the water, fire in the sky. There's been a lot of smoke in the Texas Panhandle. Why? Because we've had the largest wildfire in Texas history taking place up in the Texas Panhandle, and then numerous other fires also burning. I know that one is getting the most attention, which is called the Smokehouse Creek Fire, but there are lots of fires across the area. So as of here, the time that we're speaking on Monday, I have some statistics for you, and it is pretty scary. So the Smokehouse Creek Fire, which I'll show you exactly where it is here in just a minute, has burned 1,076,638 acres. And as of this morning, it was only 15% contained. Now, I suspect that through the day today, the firefighters are going to get it more contained. But as of the latest update from the Texas A&M Forest Service, 15%. And by the way, that is equivalent to the total acreage burned there, over 1 million, 1,682 square miles. 1,682 square miles. Now, I want to look this up real quick. Let's see. Size of, because you got to compare everything to Rhode Island, right? In square miles. All right, so that's larger than Rhode Island. So the Smokehouse Creek Fire, 1,682 square miles. The state of Rhode Island, 1,214 square miles. So it's way bigger than Rhode Island. That's scary. There are some other fires in the area, including the Pampa Grapevine Creek Fire. So that's located to the south of that other huge fire. That one has burned 34,000 acres, 60% contained on that one. So let me go ahead here and take you to the weather graphics. And we're going to start off real wide here and show you what you're looking at here. Each of the red dots that you're seeing is what's called a hotspot. And a hotspot is something that is spotted by satellites as being abnormally hot. Satellites have imagers on them that detect infrared radiation. Infrared is heat. So it's just like if you have, you've probably seen like night vision goggles or something like that, or they say snakes, right? Snakes can see infrared radiation. We can't. So anything that's producing, anything that's warm is going to produce more infrared radiation than something that's cold. So IR is used a lot for weather satellites because we can use it when the sun isn't shining. We use visible satellite when the sun is shining, and we can see the beautiful clouds with a much more high resolution. But we can use the infrared satellite for lots of different things, including thunderstorms and hurricanes. That's how we track them, but also things like this, hotspots. And so each one of these red dots here, and you'll see there are a lot of them in Texas, a lot of them in Oklahoma, a lot of them up here to Arkansas as well. And this is the area where the fire is burning. Now, it looks like not that much is happening. But in reality, each one of these squares that you're seeing is a county. So we have a fire burning here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, a little bit of 7, 8, a little bit of 9. So, give or take, there's like 10 counties up there right now that have active, ongoing, pretty large wildfires. So consider that down here. Imagine if we had Harris and Fort Bend and Montgomery, and Brazoria all having large wildfires at the same time. The only difference is, obviously, this is ranch land, and it's sort of, there's some rolling hills and things like that. It's obviously a whole different atmosphere up there. But that being said, there has been a loss of life. There has been a lot of loss of property. And so these red areas here, so the red squares that you're seeing are the hot spots, but then this darker red that's colored in, those are the areas that are actively burning. So again, this one that we're looking at right now is burning more than 1 million acres, only 15% contained. So from here, we could also take a look at things like where's the smoke going? Now, right now, the smoke has mostly been confined to the Texas Panhandle. It initially actually got pushed to the south to around the El Paso area and around Midland, and then it kind of did a 180, and it's starting to disperse around the state of Texas. But what I wanted to mention is this is not the only smoke that's affecting Texas, and in fact, there's another plume of smoke that's having a much bigger effect on our weather, and that is what's happening down in Mexico. Now, during the spring and during the fall, the farmers in Mexico go through a cycle with their crops. So they have crops that they harvest in the spring, and then once the crops are harvested, they burn the fields. And they do that to get nutrients into the soil. And it is not only cheaper, but it's maybe more, there's an argument to be made that it's even more environmentally friendly, believe it or not, to burn their fields because it avoids having to use artificial fertilizers and things like that. So, but the effect it has on us is that in the spring and then again in the fall, if the winds are blowing just right from south to north, then we get a plume of smoke that comes up from Mexico. And that's sort of what's happening now. Now, I'll tell you, this is not extremely thick. We've seen much worse than this. In fact, sometimes it's so thick that you can smell the smoke coming all the way from 1,000 miles, more than 1,000 miles from Mexico, and that's pretty cool. But what happened this morning is that we had a lot of fog, and I suspect that the fog was enhanced. I can't say it was completely caused by, but I think it was enhanced by some of this smoke plume that was coming up from Mexico. And the reason for that is that fog, any cloud, needs two things. It needs moisture, it needs condensing water, but then that water has to condense onto something. It doesn't just condense into just plain air. And so up in the sky, we call those cloud condensation nuclei, and they could be anything from something like or organic debris, which would be like dust, coming from leaves. I mean, think about like all of the billions of leaves in a forest, you know what I mean? And when they all start to disintegrate and break down, eventually they become little tiny pieces of dust, and the wind kicks up that into the air. It's completely natural, and those can form the basis of clouds, cloud condensation nuclei. They need a little piece of something to grab onto. Over the oceans, a lot of times it's salt. So there's a salt spray that comes off the ocean, and that gets carried into the atmosphere. But it can also be smoke. And in this case, that's what's happening. In fact, maybe you've seen this, and you could search for it. You can Google it online if you're really interested in it. And I've done this at schools before. And it's called Cloud in a Bottle. And the way you do it is you take a bottle, like a water bottle, and you put hot water in it to make it steamy, and you kind of swish it around to make sure that the air inside the bottle is really humid and warm. You pour it out and you strike a match. You light a match and then you drop the match down in there and close the top. And in that environment, now you've given the humidity something to latch onto, which is the smoke, the little particles in the smoke. And then you can give it to the kids, and when they squeeze it, there's a cloud. They can get a cloud to form. And then when you let go of it, the pressure drops and the cloud disappears. You got to do it just right. But the point is that what we saw this morning was actually pretty similar. Pretty similar to the cloud in the bottle experiment, which was that we already had fog. We probably would have had, some pretty decent fog to begin with. But this smoke coming from Mexico actually was something that I do believe enhanced it. And with this in mind, we could have fog again, potentially forming across the area for tomorrow. So that's something neat. You may not think of. A lot of people don't necessarily, you think it's just fog, but there is something in the water actually as well. This is absolutely not what I wanted to show you. I don't know why it's doing that. Here is, I think I broke this. So I'm just going to skip this. Let's just pretend that didn't happen. So change is ahead for us today. As we look at the week ahead, dense fog and some mist. So we have some of that this morning, or happened early this morning. Some of it will linger into the early afternoon, and we may have more dense fog and mist forming tomorrow morning, which would be Tuesday. And then some scattered showers and storms this afternoon, and then lowering rain chances heading into tomorrow. By the way, today we're looking for a high of about 80 with a lot of cloud cover. Tomorrow, if the clouds clear out, and it looks like they will, we could hit around 85, 86, maybe even 87. The record high for tomorrow is 84. So that record is likely to go down. So we'll keep an eye out for that. The weekend, by the way, is looking great at this point. So that is good. Strangely enough, it's interesting. So this is the latest severe weather outlook from the Storm Prediction Center. And what is interesting about it is that they've continued to, and I say they, this is the National Weather Service, they've continued to include us in this marginal risk area, which is the lowest severe weather risk, like on a scale of 1 to 5. It's not 0, but it's on the low end risk. And I'm surprised because none of the models is really depicting any thunderstorms. But something to keep in mind, if a thunderstorm forms, the atmospheric profile would be such that there could be some winds coming out of it. So just keep an eye out for that. On this imagery, let's see, I wanted to open this up for you and show you, because I was backing up trying to look for smoke. And it's admittedly very hard to find, to be honest with you, because it doesn't always show up super well on satellite, especially if it's not really thick. But I'm going to go ahead and back up. This is the infrared satellite. And let me back this up for you. And we're going to go through here and see if we could find this little flare up here. See right there? There we go. So this here is exactly where I was showing you, right? Where that smoke, where those giant wildfires were taking place. So this is Sunday. This was over the weekend. So this is in the afternoon. There was actually a pretty big flare up right there that caused a lot of smoke to go into the sky. And in fact, since this is infrared satellite imagery, that smoke was probably a pretty good towering plume. And I don't know, maybe let me see if I'm going to pull up the, let me see if I could change this to the visible imagery and see if maybe that looks, if we could find it there, because sometimes you can't. Let me go ahead and try this, and we'll see if we could pick it up like we did on the infrared. It doesn't look like we can. Sometimes you can't. But back to the infrared satellite, right there. Yeah, you could definitely see it, no doubt. I mean, there it is. It's pretty cool to see. So this thing really flared up, over the weekend, and it's clear as day where it is. Clear as day where it is, right there to the north of Amarillo. So scary stuff, very scary stuff. And like I said, there were 70-mile-per-hour winds that occurred across that area beginning of last week that really helped to fuel all this. All right, as far as what to expect for the rest of the day today, so starting out there right now, yes, we do have some scattered showers. We'll continue to have a mostly overcast sky here, 6 o'clock tonight. Here is 8:30 tonight. And there's also a chance for a little bit of overnight rain. You see how that's popping up right here on the Futurecast, like around 3 or 4 a.m. And then maybe some fog. You'll see that around here for tomorrow morning. And then it does look like we should clear out. This is noon tomorrow, in fact. And you see that arrow in the middle of the screen is actually blowing in from west to east. And that, combined with sunshine, will typically bring you some pretty warm weather. And in this case, it could be record warmth, potentially. And by the way, the stormy weather is going to be over here. This is where there's a higher severe thunderstorm chance. New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Memphis, Nashville. That's for your Tuesday. So let me go ahead and just let you know what we're looking at here as far as our forecast is concerned. Here's a look at the next 7 days. And so today, maybe a 40% rain chance, 40, 50%. Most of it is going to be really widely scattered. There's a chance for a late day thunderstorm. High temperatures near 80. Tomorrow, that record high is 84. Heading into Wednesday, it looks like a nice day, albeit a warm one. Thursday and Friday, we bring back the chance for rain. And then this weekend, by the way, is the Spring Forward weekend. It's the Spring Forward weekend. So this is the weekend, yes, where you lose the hour of sleep coming up. And so some people don't like that. Some people do like it. In fact, in my case, I like it because I wake up very early. All of us here on the morning shift wake up very, very early. Some of us like to go to bed really, really early. Others, like me, I like to go home, take a nap, and then kind of have my second part of my day, and then maybe go back to sleep like around 8 or 9, and then wake up at 2. And when the sun stays up later, it really helps me. And for me, it helps me feel better. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Again, that is when you go to bed Saturday night. Of course, your phone and everything will update itself these days, but there's always that one clock in the house, like the microwave oven or something, that does not update itself. So anyway, you let me know. You let me know if you're in favor of the daylight savings or you're not in favor of daylight savings. Lena DeFlorius and I have been going back and forth on this for 5 years about whether we like daylight savings or not. I think a lot of people just agree we should just keep it, just stop changing the clock. I say we keep it the way it's going to be this weekend. Spring forward an hour and then just leave it like that. That's fine with me. All right. So thank you so much for tuning in for Mondays with Mike, and hope you learned a little bit about the smoke and sort of why it was so hazy out there and a little bit weird looking this morning. Shout out to my mom and Neil. I'm going to see you guys very soon. Let's see. A month. I'll see you in a month. Well, I'll see you in like 5 weeks. So thanks for tuning in. Make sure if you are not watching us on Fox Local that you download the Fox Local Smart TV app. You can watch this on our website, fox26houston.com, on our news app, or probably several other ways. But the best way to do it is to head to your smart TV store, and that's going to be Roku or Amazon or one of those. Go to the App Store and search Fox Local. You'll be able to watch all of our extra content, all of our newscasts for free, and you can also check out weather and news from around the rest of the country from many of our other Fox-owned and operated stations from coast to coast. So anyway, hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time.